All right, guys, we got game number 2. Team Barcode versus TZN.
In that company as our quote-unquote day jobs. Completely rejoice and celebrate the super powerful commander units. Others might see it as a deviation from the elegance of Total Annihilation, and I don't disagree. It's kind of a thing, but we did need to put features down in the design document. I don't want to complain about the publisher-developer relationship, but the publishers probably would not be happy if you said, well, we're going to keep it really simple like the first game. We're not going to expand anything here. We're going to just try to improve the engine a little bit. No. They want to see features everywhere. Otherwise, you're not earning your money. And that's probably half of it at least, and the other half is just straight up ego. You want to make something more complicated. People just do.
One thing Malay just mentioned is no fleas because the fleas cannot cross this river, whereas the bigger bots can, but the fleas cannot.
Do that. They make things more complicated just because, and we were no different. But I don't think it was great design inspiration. I won't defend it as design inspiration. Not like the original. A lot of the original ideas were really, if that's the right language for it, call it inspirational. There was a lot of inspiration in TA.
My guess for this map is we're probably going to see somebody tech up early. Just the natural chokes look more for a little longer game.
And then I think we probably had half that much again on Supreme Commander, but it wasn't like we didn't do the same thing over again and double the amount of inspiration. If that makes sense. Coach it that way.
That's really good insight there, Chris. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was actually that was really interesting. We are now in the second match. Things are starting to kick off as units are starting across the central river. So our casters, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Tarnished Knight. So let's quickly talk a little bit about the map, shall we, Wingfly?
Well, one thing I liked that we just saw there was the top team, instead of taking their reclaim on their side of the map first, they were taking the opponent team's reclaim. So that's something that was very good, I think.
So we've got Emain Maka. It's a remake. There's been various iterations, but it comes from the author Icewick, who's one of the developers for Bar, and major part of the core team. So big factor here is all the metal spots alongside the river. So fighting on these beaches is going to be a big part of it. Wingfly, what else do you think is going to be critical to playing this map?
So Malady made a really interesting observation in the chat, and he said fleas cannot cross the river, which is true. The flea is the only unit, or the tick is the only unit in the game, I think, that cannot walk across this little river here in the middle, which, that might have an impact early on, just in the fact that, it's you can't send that nice harasser early. It's more difficult to harass the opponents. So already we see Malady at the top. We haven't introduced our players. I guess we could. Of course, I'm sure by now, if you guys are watching, you already know our players. But Malady still has not built a lab yet. So Malady, again, going with a very greedy, kind of delayed air lab start, where Master Bell has built his already. So airplay is going to be very important in this game, I'm sure of it. But also, whoever can control the middle, that's going to be a big factor too. Why do you think that the TZN? Why did they choose this map? What's your explanation?
I expect it's something about the familiarity. They would have played. Majority of the games these players have played are 8v8s, and this map does come up quite often in 8v8s. So it's something to do with let's think of a map. Let's pick up a map that we are all comfortable with. We know.
That's interesting because I've played strictly 8v8s for 3 weeks now. Mini games a day, and I don't think I've ever played this map. There's just so many maps in this game. It's just kind of mind-boggling.
All the little ins and outs and the features and where things are, where the choke points, where the important strategic positions. And on this map, it's very much holding the beaches in a way that you can have metal extractors on your spots, but you deny them on your enemy spots.
Here, Milady has said add anti-air bots.
So getting artillery with support up close and just protecting that river as best you can. Crossing the river is difficult. It slows your units down, as a slight uphill on the other end that slows down vehicles even more. But if you've got defences facing you on the other side, you've really got to bring a combined arms attack to get across. And that's what these players are doing. You can see a natural front line just forming across the river right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's really interesting that Malady, our green player, he still has not built a lab, but as a result of that, look, he has the entire top corner of the map. He has that entire part of the map where Master Bell still hasn't even gotten the bottom of the map. And so, guys, I really feel like Malady, I've said this many times, but I feel like Malady is just kind of playing on his own level here. Like, he has delayed his lab, his aircraft plant this far because he knows he can. And he's able to play this very greedy play style because he seems to understand the game extraordinarily well. And I bet he probably has the best eco in the game right now. So I expect a lot out of Malady here. I think we'll probably get some more epic bombing runs. And we're going to have to see if Team Times of Nightmare can stop him. I mean, they know it's coming. They have to know it's coming. Can they stop Malady from just bombing them into oblivion?
Yeah, that's critical. Looks like Master Bell has got some fighters up already. They've spotted a little scout coming in. Didn't actually intercept it, but they spotted it. So Malady knows who's on the back line now. He's scouted out those bases.
Now, one glaring thing I want to point out here is the northern team, even though Malady had secured this whole back line before Master Bell hadn't even got over here yet. But you can see Grumpy has these 3 mexes. But look at all these mexes right here that are claimed, whereas this one's not claimed. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is just being built. So, and as you can see, the metal income is pretty even, 77 to 84. Because Milady had these 3 covered, whereas these had not been done yet. So these are done now, but a few minutes ago these were not completed yet. But the southern team, like I said, has controlled all these metals, where all these metals are contested, and you got Teddy moving up here, really denying these 3. It looks like Ragnar's trying to get this one.
Ready for the inevitable air war, but let's have a look at the front line. As we can see, lining up Grumpy versus Captain Jack Sparrow, bit of a stalemate there. Units ready to go, but defense is there, putting them off for the time being. Then we've got Teddy and Kyret on Times of Nightmare facing against Ragnar
and also this one is denied too. So Ragnar did just get this one, but look at all these mexes denied. And there's still one back here that hasn't been claimed. There's 2 geos. I'm not sure if the geos are done on the other side or not. I see 1 unit over here. I'm not sure if there's any mexes on this little island there or not.
LSR. Kyret and Teddy are starting to make a beachhead, and this could start deciding things in the economic warfare, because they're going to start denying some of those metal spots while they've got theirs.
Yeah. No, it is surprising that they allowed Teddy and Clyra to just move over. I mean,
And that's something I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Look at all these metal that are denied here, whereas they got theirs. So that puts the northern
would have
team
thought they would have fought a little bit harder.
at a huge disadvantage. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to come down to Milady with a good bombing.
To keep them on their side of the river there, because as you said, once they establish this beachhead, it becomes much harder to push them back. Of course, it could work in their favor if they can kill these comms. Then the comm corpses will be on their side of the map, which will allow them to reclaim them more easily. So
That could well be the strategy that they've thought about beforehand. Let them come in, and then they may have the metal spots for 60 seconds, a few minutes, but that's only going to be so much metal. But then we get commander wreckage, and that's 2,000 metal, and that's way more than they would have got in the meantime. So maybe it's just something they thought about beforehand, because it is strange letting them gain that territory. They have the units to try and contest it, and they're just sitting back.
Well, it's like I said, or like I was about to say, maybe they're just playing chess in 4D. It's like we'll let them think they're winning. We'll let them come over and bring their commanders, and then when we kill them, we'll take their corpses. Chris, I don't know if you knew this, but in Bar, when a commander dies, it actually leaves a corpse, and either team can reclaim that corpse for 2,000 metal, and so actually it's pretty important in these team games to kill enemy commanders or even kill your own commanders and reclaim their corpses for metal. That plays a big part in the gameplay. I'm just kind of interested what you think about that.
Yeah, I picked that up, and I actually think it's a really interesting design decision. I of course I haven't played it, but theoretically, it actually sounds like a really good idea. And if you guys are all enjoying it, that's the real proof positive, right? And it's kind of interesting. It makes me wonder if there isn't another design element in there where you can sacrifice your commander without exploding it. You can just sort of give your body over to your resource system with a button press, or at least some time and a button press.
Well, you're clearly thinking along the right lines there, Chris, because not exactly that, but there's a common strategy, especially in 8v8s, where a player will sacrifice the commander right behind the base, where it doesn't destroy anything, then they have the wreckage and they reclaim it, just so they can invest in T2 or units. We see that a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a big design decision. They give up their commander, but they gain that metal. And some that's almost like a part of the meta you have to do on some.
That's really fun. That's really heroic stuff. Like it almost seems like the commander should raise its hands to the sky and take me and give my body to the cause, like some sort of scene in a movie. I like that.
Yeah.
Emotionally, it's got the right energy emotionally. I'm just saying, maybe you don't have to blow up to do it. Maybe it would work if you just did it without blowing up.
One thing I want to point out is LSR is tier 2 now. I'm not sure if everybody's tier 2, but I saw hounds on the field, so I know for a fact LSR is tier 2.